All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to head deep into a jungle to explore this really powerful story. It's about two brothers, a warning that gets forgotten, and a pretty deep lesson that gets learned about what it means to be brave versus what it means to be truly wise.
Okay, so our story kicks off in the small village of Sikantapa. The afternoon sun's shining, everything seems normal, and this is where we meet our two main characters. Their whole adventure starts with just one simple instruction, a warning that, well, is about to be completely ignored. So, let me introduce you to the brothers. We've got Fanateki, who's 11, and his little brother Pakenta, who's only 5. As our story gets going, they're grabbing their little baskets and heading straight for the jungle, totally buzzing with excitement for whatever they might find. And just as they're leaving, their mother calls out this really specific warning. It's a clear rule meant to keep them safe. And this one instruction, it's pretty much the pivot point for everything that's about to happen. But at first, the jungle just seems magical. You've got these huge, tall trees making everything feel cool and shady. Wild fruits everywhere. The boys are totally captivated. They're laughing, chasing butterflies, and just pushing deeper and deeper into the woods. And of course, in all that fun, their mom's warning just vanishes from their minds. But, as you can probably guess, that pure joy of their adventure, well, it's not going to last. As they get further in, the story is about to take a really sharp and pretty scary turn. And then, bam, it happens. Finete just stops cold and looks around. And this chilling feeling washes over him. Every single tree looks exactly the same. The path they were on is gone. They are well and truly lost. So you can imagine little Pakenta starts to shake with fear, but Finetake, he manages to hold it together, and this is where we get the first real piece of wisdom in the story, as he remembers something his father always told him, a lesson about how to act when you're in a crisis. So, just as Fanate gets his head straight, remembering that advice to stay calm, the jungle decides to throw its first real test at them. It all starts with just a sound. You know the kind. A sharp, sudden rustle in the dry leaves right next to them. They're not alone. Something else is there. And then they see it. A big black snake, coiled up and just waiting right on their path. Little Placenta is understandably terrified and just lets out a scream. Now, what Fenatake does next is absolutely key. Without even thinking about it, he just steps forward, putting himself right between his little brother and that snake. A total gut reaction. So for a few heart-stopping seconds, nobody moves. And then the snake slowly unwinds and just disappears into the bushes. Okay, so the immediate threat is gone. But their main problem? It's far from over. They're still lost, and the sun is starting to get low. And that brings us to the next chapter of this whole ordeal. Just as the boys are getting exhausted and starting to lose hope, help arrives. But in a really mysterious and frankly unexpected way. So as the sun sets, you've got two things happening. In the dark jungle, the boys are completely wiped out. And back in the village, their mother's worry has turned into real fear. She tells their father, and he immediately grabs a lantern and runs into the forest to find his sons. And then, something really strange happens. Out of nowhere, a dog just appears. Its eyes aren't aggressive. They're calm and bright. It doesn't bark. It doesn't growl. It just starts walking and keeps looking back at them, almost like it's saying, "Come on, this way." So with literally nothing left to lose, Fanatake makes a call. He decides to take a chance. It's a total leap of faith, really, born out of pure desperation. He grabs his brother's hand and starts following this silent, mysterious animal into the fading light. So we're getting near the end of their journey now. The physical adventure is almost over, but the most important lesson, that's just getting started. After following the dog for a little while, the trees start to thin out, and then they hear it, a sound that cuts right through the evening air. A familiar voice shouting their names. It's their father. They're safe. The boys just run with whatever strength they have left straight into their father's arms, just overcome with relief. But when Fanate turns around to point out the dog that led them there, it's just gone. It vanished, just as quickly and quietly as it showed up. Back at home, after all the tears and hugs are done, their father sits them down. And he says something directly to Fanatake that is really the core lesson of this entire story. And this is such a brilliant point, right? The courage Finitake showed with the snake was reactive. It was dealing with a danger that was right there in front of him. But true wisdom, well, that's proactive. That would have been listening to his mother's warning and avoiding the danger in the first place.
And Fanatake gets it. He nods silently. He understands that, yeah, he protected his brother, but he also understands that it was his own mistake that put them in that terrible spot to begin with. It was a really powerful distinction and a lesson that was going to stick with him for the rest of his life.
But the story doesn't just tie up neatly with that lesson. It leaves us with this one big kind of magical question just hanging in the air. Who or what was that mysterious dog? That silent guide who showed up right when they needed it most?
Was it just a stray that knew the pass? Or was it something more? A guardian spirit of the jungle, maybe? Or even a symbol of their own will to survive? The story never tells us. And maybe that's the point. The jungle just keeps its secrets, leaving us to wonder about the unseen forces that can guide us when we're lost.